Viewers, welcome to Talk Show Promise Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. Today our guest is Major General Retired Syed Muhammad Ibrahim, Chairman, Bangladesh Kalyan Party. Mr. Ibrahim, how are you?
Thank you very much, Sinha bhai, Mr. Sinha, Sinha ibn Sayeed, whatever we call you. I'm fine, thank you very much.
Well, there is a hearsay in Bangladesh that Mr. Genl Ibrahim means voice of time. Why it is called so?
I really wouldn't know why people will adore me so much and say voice of time, but I can assume that by the kindness and grace of Almighty Allah, I have developed the habit of calling a spade and calling it in time. So when sun rises, I would like to say sun is rising, and when sun is setting, I would like to say it is setting. Instead of mingling with words, or playing with the sentiments of people, maybe this is the reason.
You are President Chairman of Bangladesh Kalyan Party. Definitely you have approach to the nation and you are trying to organize the people around the political party, and by this time you took part in many agitation, you raised many national issues, and your voice is well heard everywhere. So keeping all these things in the true perspective, how do you visualize the present ongoing scenario of geopolitics in Asia?
I wouldn't like to concentrate on Asia. Maybe I'll bring my focus down to South and Southeast Asia more, because beginning from the shores of the Mediterranean Sea and to the Pacific Ocean, it's too wide and spectrum. Geography and politics makes geopolitics. The influence of geography and politics and the influence of politics and geography combines to make something called geopolitics in the present day world. Currently, the most talked about phrase are two. One is the Chinese phrase, Belt and Road Initiative, and the other is the Indo-Pacific strategy. One is sponsored by China, the other is sponsored by America. China has her well-wishers and America has her well-wishers. We are well-wishers to both. That makes your question to me pertinent, relevant, and the respected audience deserves an answer. Sitting in Bangladesh and having been a battlefield freedom fighter in the year 1971, we can relate the interest of people. Incidentally, Mr. Sinha, let me recall, in 1971, neither the United States of America nor the People's Republic of China supported our war of liberation or war of independence. And that was because of the then geopolitical compulsions. So geopolitical compulsions can vary from time to time. This is one. Now the two large players I have just mentioned to you, China and America. The other one is a large player, Russia, which supported us during the war of liberation. Last but not the least is India. India is one of our geographical neighbors. Distance between Delhi and Dhaka, the capitals of both countries, may be nearly 1,500 miles. But distance between India and Bangladesh is 1 inch, less than an inch, because your borderline is common. The national interests of India and national interests of Bangladesh always don't coincide. Therefore, geopolitically, whatever happens in South Asia and Southeast Asia, these two countries have either to march together in parallel, or they have to take a stand, watch and observe that your interests don't confront each other, your steps don't become confrontational. World will not take it very kindly, a confrontational status between India and Bangladesh. This is a statement I would like to make. So in Asia, or as I said more specifically in South Asia and Southeast Asia, Bangladesh has gradually over the last 1 decade gained prominence in geopolitical outlook. Sitting on the top of Bay of Bengal, we have no way of escaping the responsibility that geopolitics puts on our shoulder, that is Bangladesh's shoulder. India as a country, to remain cohesive, to improve at a time, balanced improvement and development all over India, northeast, northwest, Bangladesh is a factor. So that much has been overcome. Now what I would like to say only that sugar melts in water. Will Bangladesh get melted in the national interest of India? Is a big question. Now many people will say that in the year, even in one of your talk shows, people have said that the separation of India and Pakistan in the year 1947 was an artificial one. I disagree vehemently. It is a temporary opinion people are passing only to please a section of the audience. I vouch in the name of my foregone grandfather and father, my father-in-law and his grandfathers, why the 1947 partition had to come. And I again vouch in my own name that why 1971 was compulsive, why 1971 had to come, and it did come. So now in 2023, when you are asking me the geopolitical scenario in Southeast Asia and South Asia, we have to keep our hands long enough to welcome friends as well as short enough to stop it engulfing me. And we have to embrace our close neighbor, make sure he doesn't embrace you so tightly that your ribs are broken. I hope I've tried to convey to you some sense, not very specific, more indicative.
You made a very guarded observation, and in fact, it is a far-reaching impact from your standpoint. And my next asking is that, is Bangladesh is so important, I mean, economically, to the big countries, especially our relations with India?
Bangladesh is important to big countries, but as you said, and in your question, specifically, especially to India, yes, it is. Because if you go through the Indian economic reports in the Indian media, if India is earning dollars by remittances by Indians working abroad, Bangladesh is number 3. It used to be number 1 last year, number 2 last year, it is now number 3. So if Bangladesh does not develop economically, then there will be lesser number of Indians operating in Bangladesh. So there will be lesser dollar earned by the Indians in Bangladesh and sent to India. So the development of Bangladesh is important, relevant for India. Number 1. Number 2, Bangladesh, a country of almost 18 crores, 180 million, is a big market for India. More importantly, market for India is trying to make it a market for Northeast India also. Now, when 10 years ago, I forgot to mention that in your last question, in answering your last question, 12, 13, 14 years ago, a lot of intellectuals in Bangladesh tried to propagate a theory. The transit is going to be a golden opportunity for the development of Bangladesh. Transit from India, mainland of India to the Northeast India and vice versa. And they had said that Bangladeshi industry will flourish, Bangladesh trade and commerce will flourish because Bangladesh will find a great market in Northeast India. That was hoodwinking, because by the transit and the corridor and the facilities you given to India, the mainland, they are moving their goods to Northeast India. So why will they take Bangladeshi goods? Answering your question, Bangladeshi garments is important, Bangladeshi medicines are important, Bangladeshi leather goods are important, Bangladeshi labor is important, Bangladeshis going to India on religious tourism is important, Bangladeshis going to India on medical tourism is important, and last but not the least, the functional seaports and river ports of Bangladesh are important to India. I hope you got a part of the answer, not the full, sir.
Is there any strategic importance there? Strategic?
Oh yes, why not? For example, take Sinha, you take the case of about 3, 4, 5 months ago, our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visited India, and there are a lot of important discussions. One of the fresh proposals from India, I only wish there was a map that people could see while they listen to this discussion, because otherwise it will be all imaginative. Everyone will not be, everyone is not conversant with the map of Bangladesh vis-a-vis India. In the north-west Bangladesh, in the district of Bogura, and Gaibandha. The proposal from India is to have a national highway of Bangladesh which will connect on the west the Indian mainland, in the east northeast India. Now that will be the third main arterial communication. One is the Jamuna bridge, one is the Padda bridge. Let this be a statement that I make very humbly. Padda bridge and Jamuna bridge are properties of Bangladesh, are located in Bangladesh, but it's more important to India than to Bangladesh. Both of them.
Thank you very much. There is a short break. We will come to you again.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, we'll go for a short break and very soon we'll come back. Thank you. Welcome back to Talk Show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. We are having talks with Major General Syed Ibrahim, Chairman Bangladesh Kalyan Party. Mr. Ibrahim, by this time you have touched on so many areas, and I am surprised that within a very short period of time you pinpointed so many things, and especially you're talking about the Northeast. Would you kindly tell us, for the viewers in fact, what is the importance? Can Bangladesh play a game taking North and Northeast as a tool with India?
I would like to differ with you in the very wordings of your question. You don't expect a political worker or a political leader, for example me, to discuss with you something which will be detrimental to my country's interest, detrimental to the interest of my political party, and detrimental to the relations between both the countries. I strongly believe that relations between Bangladesh and India must be friendly. Question is, to what extent? So, in the years 72, 73, 74, 75, till 1997, or maybe till 1990, we used to bring allegations against India for patronizing the Parbatya Chattogram Janasangati Samiti and their armed wing called Shanti Bahini. They were the insurgents in Chittagong hill tracts in the southeast of Bangladesh. So India at that time, in our language, was playing with Chittagong hill tracts. Bangladesh can play with Northeast India, but I will never advocate it. So a naughty boy can do a lot of naughtiness, but the parents or his elder brothers will not advocate that naughtiness.
Well, you know very well Bangladesh is almost at the door of becoming low-income, middle-income country. And recently the visit of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to Qatar, and she categorically asserted this. And we have also seen the report of LDC countries report. They also predicted there is a possibility of Bangladesh to step into the door, which is supposed to be on 24 March 2003.
2026.
26, yes. Because it was in 2020, 24. That was extended because of COVID. Are you very much convinced that Bangladesh is in a position to knock at the door timely?
I believe Bangladesh is not yet ready, and next remaining 3 years may not be enough for Bangladesh to be ready to face the challenges that come with the definition that we are a middle-income country, graduating from least developed country to a middle-income country. Because the effect of the corona, the COVID-19, it may not be compensated by only 2-year grace period, number one. Number two, when the world community had taken the decision to allow Bangladesh to graduate, there was no Ukrainian war. And now you have an Ukrainian war. So the forecast that people had made, the economists had made about Bangladesh vis-a-vis world economy may not hold good, because the war is too big a factor to be allowed to go as a miscellaneous. War itself, the Ukrainian war, is a factor that is affecting the whole world. Other point is, there will be a lot of facilities which go with being which go in favor of a least developed country. For example, in respect of Bangladesh exporting garments, those facilities will not hold good anymore before when you become a middle income country. Now, as a political worker, I am also very much worried. How will the country earn the foreign currency when two things will happen at a time? One, you will be losing the facilities because you are becoming middle income country. And secondly, you will be burdened with a debt repayment schedule. So it is 2023, 2022, 2018, 2015, a honeymoon period. And 2025, 26, 28 will not be honeymoon period. So I would like to say, it's very happy to hear we are likely to become a middle income country. You will be graded one, but life will be very tough. And Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said in Qatar and repeated it, we are not looking for sympathy. We are looking for what is our due. Now, in the international arena, to ascertain what is your due is next to impossible. We haven't got what we need to get from Pakistan. Pakistan didn't get from Delhi and Britain. And we will not get anything from Britain what they took before 1947. So, life is going to be tough, very tough.
Being in the opposition, what is your understanding about the movement in the opposition? You are trying to have so many things, I mean, democracy, human rights, and America, especially the Western Europe and America, is very much serious about all these things. And you see the American view or the approach to Bangladesh, it is getting changed day by day. It is very closely we are observing all these things. And do you think there will be any deviation from the American perspective, standpoint, because of they may have understanding with the party in power, understanding with the India. America cannot be detached from India, under no circumstances possible. At the same time, will be it possible that finally America stand by the aspiration of the people of Bangladesh as in the line he's talking about? Or there will be deviation because of American own interest here. And if that interest is get realized or met with, then what will be the fate of democracy and human rights here?
Let me simplify the wordings of your question, Mr. Sinha. If the aspirations of the American government and people are met by the present political government of Bangladesh, what happens to the rest of events in Bangladesh? That's all you are asking. So it's a very, very difficult question. I am a student of the American War College, United States Army War College located in Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania. I was a student of the Royal Staff College located in Camberley in UK, south of London. So my brain is infused with Western thinking, the American thinking. But now as a Bangladeshi, and as a political worker, I must advise myself and advise my political colleagues to have something of your own and not rely 100% on the good wishes of America, for that matter. If I take your question, I am not raising the question, you are raising the question. Because the goodwill of America towards human rights in Bangladesh, to democracy in Bangladesh, America hasn't said and will never say that they want these improvement by the hand of BNP or Kalyan party or X or Y. They will only say, we want this to happen in Bangladesh. So whoever fulfills it becomes a friend of will become friendly to America. Now the question is, you have made a very strict pronouncement. America will never, cannot separate from India in national interest or in geopolitical interest. Fine, because they are members of the Quad also. They go together. India is aspiring to be a superpower. She is a regional superpower, undoubtedly. Under these circumstances, one has to keep his fingers crossed. The opposition in Bangladesh political field. In other words, if America slows down the speed, what do you do? America comes to a halt, what do you do? America increases the speed, what do you do? But whatever America does is up to America. We welcome it as a friendly country. But the opposition must have its own capital, own strength, own energy.
Thank you very much. We'll go for a short break. We'll come to again. Viewers, we will have a short break and come to again very soon. Thank you. Viewers, welcome to Promising Bangladesh talk show, sponsored by Crown Cement. We are having talks with you, Mr. Genl, and we are very interesting chapter it is now. You have rightly pointed out that we should stand on our own footing. America may be a helping hand, being a developer partner, they can speak so many things. But what will be the final play, the play game between China and America? Because India is always with America on question of China. And what will be the position of Bangladesh being within this chemistry?
It's difficult to make an accurate forecast, let me confess it. I will not raise the height of my wisdom in front of these millions of viewers on wrong foundation. Push and pull between three major countries, China, America and India. If I was the political leader deciding the fate of Bangladesh, I will do my utmost till the last moment with the last thread to maintain balance between the three. Now, keeping this balance is awfully difficult. The hole behind the needle is so small and you are trying to put a thread through it. Maintaining the balance is exactly like this. Chances are Bangladesh will be the undeclared coordinator for safeguarding the interests of all the three together. Bangladesh would not like to be the battleground for fighting by the three major powers, India, China and Bangladesh. We have no intention, and to my assumption, to my evaluation, the present political government of Bangladesh, Awami League's government, also doesn't want Bangladesh to become the battleground. But there's one point which you haven't raised. It just strikes me just now, that the interest of America in Bangladesh is related to business, economic development and geopolitics. Interest of China in Bangladesh is related to business and economic development and geopolitics. But the interest of India in Bangladesh is related to not only business, economic development and geopolitics, but also to something which is very dangerous. The overwhelming overflow of the present political government in Delhi is affecting Bangladesh, the national identity of Bangladesh, national feelings of people of Bangladesh, emotions of Bangladesh, the religious tolerance of people in the whole of India and Bangladesh. So many things are affected, because if you suffer from cold inside a house, you live with your wife in the same bed, and if you are having cold and flu and fever, your wife is likely to be infected. So Bangladesh and India are just neighbors like this in the same bed. Whatever you do in Delhi affects Dhaka, and whatever you do in Dhaka is likely to affect Delhi. Now Lahore is nearer to Delhi than Dhaka, but Lahore and Dhaka, Delhi are not affected because they have decided to have a great wall in between them. You don't have a wall in between these two countries. I mention this because the upper hand is most likely always remain with Delhi compared to Washington and Beijing.
How do you view the relationship with Bangladesh and Myanmar and the escalating situation there? Day by day it is going from worse to worse. And you know very well there are so many insurgent groups are there, every fighting, killing, so many things are there. So
I told you previously that I have been a student of the American War College in Pennsylvania and in Cumberland, and as an army officer and an infantry officer of Bangladesh Army, I have served in Chittagong Hill Tracks. Relation with Myanmar is not at all satisfactory. Maybe it's a very interesting information. As a Chittagonian, many of us had their connections with people in Yangon of Myanmar. Even my own ancestors have their roots in Yangon. So in the year 2002 and 3, I took a step. Why the relation between Myanmar and Bangladesh are not improving? So I visited Yangon 4 times, met their diplomatic community, business community, civil society community, retired military community, and one Major Emdad of Bangladesh Army, who was also working as a diplomat at that time, gave me a very great helping hand. Only to discover why the relations are so tensed. We found out 2 things. One is that they actually belong to ethnically different race, we and they. And secondly, Arakan is the sore point, Rohingya, the Rakhine province is the sore point. I had discovered their motives right at that time. Now it has gone bad to worse because of the Rohingya crisis. There is no symptom of the crisis being solved. And unfortunately, Mr. Sinha, very unfortunate statement I am making, very sad statement. Whoever is a friend of Bangladesh is friendly to Bangladesh on many issues, but not at all friendly to on Rohingya issues. So Rohingya issue is a sore point, is a sore under your heel, under the toes, in your legs, so that you always feel the pain. I don't have a ready-made answer, how will it overcome? And the answers given by radicals, answers given by hot-headed people, or answers given by people who have exasperated, lost their patience, I cannot articulate in public, in television.
Then the Rohingya issue is like rolling and revolving.
It's rolling, revolving.
Without having any...
We had only 8 lakhs. 8 lakhs means 8 means 8 million. We had 8 million, but now it's 11 million.
And they're majority in the area.
Yeah, and they'll take over Cox's Bazar very soon. They'll take over Cox's Bazar very soon. How will you tackle them?
The Prime Minister herself spoke very clearly that it is now a burden.
It's a burden. I had supported the Honorable Prime Minister in 2017. You yourself also a guest in a national dialogue that I had convened as an individual freedom fighter. On the 11th of September 2017 in Engineers Institution, we had pleaded on the grounds of humanitarianism that they are being slaughtered, they are facing a genocide. We being a neighbor, we need to give them shelter. Because India gave us shelter in 1971 to 90.9 million refugees of Bangladesh. So let us pay back to the mankind what we received. But unfortunately, the relation between Bangladesh and our friends, quote and unquote, is friendly on all matters except Rohingya.
Thank you very much, General Ibrahim, for your candid explanation of all these things. And we will meet again in the same place on the same dais. Thank you. Viewers, we are having talks with Major General Retired Syed Ibrahim, Chairman of Bangladesh Kalyan Party. And he spoke on so many things as a politician, as a general, as a citizen, as a leader. And he candidly, he explained his many things from his standpoint. And he pointed on basically on Jewish strategic and Bangladesh position there, vis-a-vis Bay of Bengal and Rohingya crisis finally. And we believe all these talks together will be helpful for you to grasp more and more. Thank you very much.